Okay. Hello, everyone. As you arrive, I hope you can hear me. Someone lets me know that they can hear me.
Hi.
Hi, Pauline. How are you?
Hiya.
Perfect. So you can hear me. Great. Good. And I'll just keep an eye on other people joining. Obviously, feel free to keep your cameras off. That's no problem. This is recorded, and will be put up on my YouTube channel. Going far and wide, I'm sure. We're hoping it will reach all the way across the world. But anyway, for now, we'll keep it in Ireland. So I'm just going to keep an eye on other people coming in there. And so, let me see. So welcome, people. We have some new faces. And new people signed up all the time, which is amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time. I'll be about 45 minutes. We'll try keep it even quicker. I know we're all busy. So anyone who doesn't know me or hasn't met me before, my name is Laura, which I'm presuming most of you would know by now. I am a herbalist. I am based in Laois, on the Laois Carlow border. So depending on who you ask, is where I am. And I'm a third generational herbalist. My great grandmother and my grandmother. So it's been in my family for quite a while. And yeah, so the call tonight is all about calendula because this month's wisdom from the wild box is calendula. And so you don't have to have subscribed to the boxes. Originally, I was doing these calls just for the people in the boxes. And then I thought, well, that's a bit mean. Let's spread the love and show everyone about all the plants. So you don't have to have the box. I know some of you do, some of you don't. I am currently drinking. Anyone who does, I invite you, or if you don't, to make the tea of the box this month. It's always nice to go along with when we're talking about it. In this month's the calendula tea that was in this month's box. Obviously, I've used the majority of it in this one. It was called For Where the Sun Doesn't Shine, and I'll explain why in a while that was called that. And I had calendula, elderberry, gotu kola, nettle, and oats in it. And that was in this month's box, along with all the other goodies that came with it. And we'll talk about them straight away. But and calendula seeds. Did anyone grow the calendula seed? Pauline, I'm looking at you. Did you put some in?
I have them planted and I have little seedlings already.
Perfect. Yeah, they're really good at growing. I'm just going to turn the sound up here a little bit on my end so I can hear you. Any questions? Either if you don't want to interrupt me, feel free to interrupt me. But if you don't want to, you can put them in the box, in the chat box, and I'll answer them as we go along. Or just kind of use the icons, put your hand up, do whatever, wave at me, set yourself on fire, just do something to get my attention anyhow.
I have a couple, but I might leave it till the end because it's about previous boxes. So
yeah,
that
absolutely.
I've missed your call. So I've just jotted
No
them
problem.
down, and like I keep meaning to ask her that. So
No problem. And if they're kind of general ones anyhow, if I'm talking along, just throw them in at any stage anyhow. Yeah. So calendula, does anyone grow it here? Does anyone? Lucy does.
Yeah.
Petra does. Anyone else? You're on mute there, Patrick, if you were going to say something. We can't hear you, but you get that sorted and then you can interrupt us at any time. There you go. Oh.
Now here I am. Sorry. Yeah, no, I've grown it many times. Yeah.
Brilliant. And has anyone used it medicinally? I know Lucy probably has.
yeah.
Yeah. Has anyone? Yeah, Petra. Oh, sir. So you can take the call. I'm going to sit back and listen to you. This is great. Yeah. So in this month's box, is obviously the booklet. If you're signed up, you would have got it, and we would have you would have had recipes and all how to use it and stuff. And I do these calls as kind of an add-on and just a little bit extra, and just so we can all chat about it, and you can maybe. I can learn something from you and you can learn something from me, hopefully. So calendula is one of these plants that, it's funny, I tend to use the Latin name, and I don't know about yourself, even Lucy, do you use the calendula instead of marigold? Yeah, I think it's just common, isn't it, amongst in the herbal world to, I don't know any herbalist that calls it marigold, to be honest. But its common name is marigold, pot marigold. And they grow, like I said, really well. And they get the name calendula from being like calendar. It comes from the Latin calendula or something. Don't quote me on Latin. And it just means it grows all year round if it's in the right conditions. So if we were living somewhere warmer, it would keep growing. And as you know, if you grow it, it seeds great. Like it just reseeds, because each little petal is actually at the bottom of it, the green below is actually each is an individual plant itself rather than being the petals. It's an individual flower, I mean, itself, which is why you get so many seeds rather than just one seed head. So it just repopulates a load, so you never have to kind of regrow it, which is great. And the seed heads come off super easy, which makes it super easy for sharing around. So make sure you give them around to all your friends and family and everyone who wants them. And do what I do. Sometimes I do some wild planting, and where I just bring a pocket full of seeds, and if I'm standing somewhere that looks a bit sad, I just throw them in and hope for the best.
Good idea.
Yeah, it's great. When I used to live in Dublin, I used to do that quite a lot. Myself and
Guerrilla gardening.
yeah, basically myself and another herbalist friend, when we'd be on our walks, we'd kind of throw a few seeds here, there, and everywhere to brighten up the place. But yeah, and that's the great thing about calendula. It can be used that way. So the main I suppose reasons I would use it, there's loads of reasons, but we'll just talk about a few of the main ones. For skin, lymphatic, and digestion are the main kind of three that I would put them into formulas for. And yeah, skin, I suppose, is the most common one that we know about. It's a wound healer. So the way I describe it as a wound healing herb, there's two types. There's plantain, which would be November's call, and that plantain tends to draw stuff out when it's healing, and calendula tends to draw it in. So what I mean by that, if you had a cut or wound, if there was dirt or anything in it, we'd be putting plantain on it because we want to pull it out. But if it just needs to heal, or scar tissue or anything like that, we want calendula. And what it does is pulls it down into the lymphatic system, so it heals it and kind of flushes it out that way. And so it works in a different way to plantain, which draws out. Calendula heals from down and out, kind of, and it's really good that way. And it's also really good, calendula, for getting in around, especially the tincture or the balm, or the oil, all of them really, but the tincture especially for in around the cells, your matrix cells. So what it does is it goes in and kind of plumps up in between all the cells in your skin. So it's basically used anti-wrinkle. Now, obviously it doesn't last, it's not Botox, so it's not a one and done. But if you include it in your daily kind of skin ritual or your weekly, and what it's doing is it's just going down. Right now, get rid of that notification. It's just going down and plumping up the skin, basically, getting in between all the cells and keeping it plumped up. So great one to use for your skincare. So easy to make into an oil. Have you made oil with it? Anyone made any oil?
Question.
I have it brewing on the windowsill as we speak. It'll be ready in a few weeks.
Yeah, so it'll be great to start using once it's ready as your like everyday kind of skincare. Be really good for that, especially. Well, I can only talk for myself, been in my late 40s, as we get skin, our skin loses the elasticity. So rather than pumping it full of stuff that maybe has chemicals in it or whatever, it's a great way, especially at nighttime. I love to use it at nighttime, just put it on, and then yeah, like them all, but it is a really good skin one. Were you going to ask something, Lucy, there?
Yeah, no, I was just going to ask, which one were you using? Was it a tincture internally for that, or just an oil straight onto your skin? So it's the oil, obviously, straight onto your skin.
It's the oil for wrinkles, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, but I'll also take a tincture as well if we're working on more.
Which oil do you use? Which oil do you use?
It depends. If I can get good quality olive oil, which is getting harder and harder to get,
Yeah,
we use that. If not, I'll just use a really basic grapeseed, because it's nice and light.
okay.
And so it really just depends on what part I want it for. But olive oil is getting ridiculously expensive and ridiculously hard to find. That's because the fires there last year and the year before.
Yeah.
But yeah. So any oil starting off that you can get anyhow. But yeah, so we use the flowers, but the resin, and if you've grown them and you've ever picked them, when you touch the back of the flower head, like if you're picking it like a little hook kind of thing, there should be a feel of resin. When you take your fingers away, it should be like sticky, not like super glue sticky, but just a little tacky. And that's the resin. And it's actually, a lot of people think it's just at the back of the flower, but it's actually the whole way down the plant, just not as condensed as it is at the back of the flower. So you can actually use the whole plant, as in the stalk and the leaves and the petals, but people tend to just use the petals because they are so pretty that it's kind of hard not to pick them. And if you deadhead them like that and you pick them, it does cause them to regrow again and again. So it's a great way of having a patch that you can reuse, rather than just chopping them off. But it's just so you know that you can use all of it. And the resin is on all of it, but it's that resin that we're really after, when we tincture, and when we make an oil out of it, that's what we're kind of pulling out. What was I going to say about that now? Let me have a look at my notes here. I don't know, gone out of my head. It will come back in a minute. So yeah, so you can harvest, like I said, the whole thing or just the flower heads, and they dry pretty easily. I don't know if any of you try dry them out. They dry pretty, like this was, can't see them now, but they're in the jar. And the ones that you would have gotten the jars and stuff, they dry super easily. They're really a great one to pick and dry, and they don't last any time. If you pick them to bring them in and look at them, they'll be dead by the time you nearly get in the door. They wither away really quickly, which is great for drying them out, for us, if that's what we want them for. You can also, I'm just having a look here. Yeah, so you can use the balm that you got in the box this month, or if you don't have the box, obviously, you can make your own balm. We can use it for like cuts. Like I said, you can use it for your face on that sort of for the wrinkles. Also great for cuts, abrasions, bed sores, anything like that. Ulcers. It's just a really good all-round kind of skin healer. And so gentle for babies as well. It's one that any of my friends or family or anything that had a newborn baby, I make them a massive tub of this, like nearly the jam jar size, and give it to them so that they avoid, I'm trying to get them to not use the Sudocrem, not use anything, and just this be their one and only thing. And all that is in it is the calendula and the oil, whichever carrier oil I have. No essential oils or anything like that. So super safe to use with kids, nappy rashes, any sort of cradle cap. There's loads of other things you can use, but if you know of anyone with young kids, babies or whatever, make them a big jar, throw it, tell them just to leave it wherever, and just, so it's handy and they can use it as an all-rounder. And so
Are you making it with the beeswax, or are you making it with something?
Yeah, a little bit of beeswax. Yeah. Right, just admit someone in there now. Yeah, making it with the beeswax. So just a infused oil and a bit of beeswax. And yeah, it just they'll thank you for it, and it means they're staying away from kind of Sudocrem and all. I don't even know what's out now. Is Sudocrem even a thing? I don't even know if it's still around on the market.
Oh, it is big time.
Is it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So if we can get in, if you know of anyone who is currently pregnant, expecting a baby, now's the time to give it to them. And like I said, don't be stingy with them. Don't give them a little jar because they'll tend not to use it then. We give them big jars so they can scoop it and use it and smother the baby in it in love. Yeah, so it's really good for a nappy rash and anything like that. But it's definitely one I make, and everyone comes back for more than. And they tend to stay away from the other stuff. And so insect bites as well. I'm just having a look here. Psoriasis, ringworm. Now, actually, I have used a little bit of it for ringworm and some fungal stuff, but what I've had better luck with ringworm is actually gorse. The gorse plant that we grow, that's everywhere here in Ireland. The kissing plant, as they call it. When the gorse is in bloom, it's the kissing time, which is all year round. So I used the petals of that, and I've made an infused oil, and I've had better results, quicker results, not better, but just quicker for ringworm with the gorse and a couple of essential oils, which I can look up if anyone wants to know. Just email me afterwards. I'll look it up in my book. But it's just, you can use calendula. It's just I found it better with the gorse flowers. Yeah, varicose veins, and obviously chapped lips. It's a great gateway herb. This, and there's a couple of herbs that we're covering in these the 12 monthly subscription box ones. I like to call them gateway herbs. They're easing people in without even realizing. And most people will have used a calendula lip balm. They may have used a Burt's Bees or, you know, something else. And so if you're trying to get someone kind of using herbs and plants, these are great gateway herbs, as in you can make them a lip balm from calendula. They don't know, they don't care that it's like plant, but you're kind of slowly introducing them to plants. And obviously it's going to be a little bit better than the ones they can buy in the shops. And plus they make nice little gifts, so you can add them in for Christmas and stuff like that, or birthdays. And you know, and if you grow the calendula, pick them, let it dry, and just add it into tea. Especially if you do subscribe to the boxes, you would have gotten a few different herbs, and you can make a tea yourself of all your dried, and you know, it makes just a nice little gift. But yeah, great one for lip balm. Really good one. So then I want to talk about how are we doing for time, Grant? I talk very fast if you haven't been on any of these calls. So like I said, at any stage, just jump in. And I'm going to take a drink of my tea. I'm really liking this calendula when I made this for Where the Sun Doesn't. It has elderberries in it. And it's
lovely.
super nice. Yeah, it just has
It's
a nice
good.
little, yeah, hit off it. What am I saying? Yeah, before we go to the tea, we'll go to the tincture. So the tincture you would have got in the box you can use now, or obviously if you have your own, and then while you're waiting to make your own, you have your pre one made. So where we would use this, where I've used the tincture before in formulas, I've used it with people with internal ulcers to help heal that. You have to be a little bit careful with that, because the actual tincture, because they're made of alcohol and stuff, can irritate it. So we want to go in with a tea first of the calendula, and then if it's really bad, we can start going with a tincture and seeing, but very low amounts, a couple of drops, and kind of seeing how they react to it, because it could have, you know, it could flare up the ulcer, so we would need to be careful with that. But in general, it's good at healing any sort of digestive tract issues. And easing gallbladder inflammation. We've used it there for that as well. Again, you can use the tea or the tincture, but when I tend to treat something like that, that's kind of at the stage of gone past, we're kind of class it as if it's at the start of something, or it's gone way past it. So an ulcer has gone way past it, gallbladder infection gone way past this point that we could have got it. And so then we really need to go in, well, in my opinion, I would go in with tinctures more, because people aren't going to drink enough teas to make it, to get at it quick enough. But if you're kind of have that niggle of a little digestive, if you suffer from digestive tract issues and you can feel it kind of coming on, that's when you start drinking your teas. If you didn't want to go into your tinctures, you know, you start upping your tea intake. You can use the powdered calendula. I've powdered it and used it for abscess on the skin. And also I had a lady who had an abscess on her gum, and we just powdered some of that and some yarrow, and she just kept applying it. What it done is the yarrow stopped any bleeding or infection, and the calendula was anti-inflammatory, and it just helped ease the pain of it and heal it after it cleared, the abscess was gone. So it's good. And you could make a poultice into it either. If it was on the skin with the powdered, you could powder it, and that would just be taking the dried calendula like the one in the box, or just the one you dry yourself, sticking it in a blender, whizzing it up into powder form. It's that simple. There's nothing else added to it, and you have calendula powder. You know, it sounds fancier than it is. It's just that broke down a bit more, and you can add a bit of water to it and add it onto a cloth and make a poultice, and you know, just dab it on, or an old-time poultice is what they call them. Athlete's foot, I've used it for athlete's foot. I just have a list of things here I had used it for before. In a combination with St. John's wort. This was in an oil, a calendula oil, St. John's wort oil, some tea tree essential oil, and I also used some black walnut, which I understand would be hard for to get. It doesn't grow or whatever, but it was just it's antifungal, and it's one I used in it. But you could just use the calendula and tea tree oil if you had it. Like, you know, the thing with athlete's foot or any of those fungal infections is consistency. So yeah, you really have to work at them. So the person has to be really determined to get rid of it and to work with it.
I was getting my son to just soak his feet in a calendula bath. I just made the tea for him, and I got him to, and he said, "It feels lovely, Mum." He did it about 3 days in a row, and he went, "It's not working," and he went to the pharmacy.
Yeah. And that's the thing, yeah. You're up against it all the time. But look, you try it and it's in his head then. The information is in there somewhere. If someone asks him at some stage, he'll say, oh, I think you can use calendula, you know.
Yeah,
so
yeah. He
that's-
tried the tea tree as well, but of course he put it on neat and then it hurt and it was very sore. And so then he kind of went, oh no, that's too sore. So,
Yeah, and that's another thing, like with essential oils, they're super I an aromatherapist as well, and I would never use them neat
Yeah.
or lavender on a really bad burn.
Yeah.
But other than that, please always add them to essential oils, and please always buy like good quality ones. Don't be going into pennies or buying them or into
What's your favorite?
well, I like the aromatics, Atlantic aromatics,
Yeah.
and you can get them in most health shops.
Yeah.
Or I would buy from Obus, which is where I trained. But Bomar is pretty good supplier of them as well. They're in Kilcooley and Dublin.
Yeah, I know
So,
them. Yeah.
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 So
Have
they
you ever
and
heard
they-
of is it Mia Rosa? It's an Italian name.
No, I
It-
haven't heard of them.
No, they're in a
Oh.
local pharmacy and they're 100% essential oils. They're saying they're organic. They're given the Latin names. They're doing everything they're supposed to.
Yeah.
And then there's another one. I think it's Aurum or
doTERRA
it's
as well.
which
I,
one?
I don't go near
doTERRA?
doTERRA.
What's
That's
that?
I don't do doTERRA Young Living. That's a personal choice of mine. I stay away from them.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
a whole
I-
other Zoom call.
Yeah. I bought them when I was on a yoga retreat, and I have to say they were absolutely gorgeous, but they drive you mad because then they chase you as it's kind of like pyramid selling almost. It's so hard.
Yeah,
Like,
it is. Yeah,
it's very hard to actually get what you want because they're just
Yeah.
trying to get you to buy everything.
And extremely expensive for what they are.
Yeah, they are, but they are
Extremely
gorgeous.
expensive.
Yeah. But no, look, like I said, go into your local health shop. Try, that one sounds lovely with the Latin name and everything, and that's what we're looking for. And just, just don't be buying if they're like €2 in pennies.
No,
Stay
no,
away.
No, they're expensive enough now.
Exactly. So then that's how you know. So that's you can mix them in with oils, but always low amounts. Like start with 1-2 drops, never like more than 10 in 150 mils. We need to be super careful. And like I said, if you have any questions about that, you can email me and I can give you a bit more guidance on that. Calendula. Yeah, so then the tincture. So the tea was called for where the sun don't shine, and that's because I use calendula and it is used for the lymphatic system, and the sun doesn't shine for your lymphatic system. So what we're talking about here is your swollen glands, so around your neck, under your arms, which gets no sun unless you're lying out on the beach with your arms back and having a great old time or waving at the concert or something, in your groin. And like all these lymphatic nodes, they don't see the sunshine a lot. So calendula is a really good one for your lymphatic system. Like I said before, with the wound healing, it heals down. It heals from your skin, the matrix of your skin, down into your lymphatic system and flows out. So when we use calendula, it's going to really help with that. Where we want to really use calendula as well is if we have consistent swollen glands, and it's a continuous thing. Calendula is going to be really super helpful here in a tincture or a tea, whichever way you have it, or you can take it. But also if swollen glands, I've also given it the balm to people just to rub on their neck area and around the glands, and that's been really helpful as well. I was going to say something else there now about that. It will come back to me. But yeah, really good one to use for your lymphatic system. Now that will bug me. I was going to say something. Let me see if I have it written down somewhere here. I have to write everything down in notes or if I get bits and pieces. Yeah, just look, it's great for the lymphatic system. And that's why I added it to the tea with the elderberry and everything. And what you want to do, oh, that's what I was going to say. Yes, if your swollen glands, if it's an immediate effect, if I wake up in the morning and I have swollen glands, what I'm going to hit is cleavers first. So they are your sticky backs, sticky willies, sticky whatever, they were called when you were kids, and the other kids would stick them to your back. And they're not out now, they've died back, but I've tinctured them. And when they come out in spring, you can get them and tincture them, or you can use them fresh. So if it's something that's a new swollen gland, a new infection, I am going straight in with cleavers. If I don't have cleavers, then I am doing calendula. But where calendula really shines is if the issue is long term, or if it's a reoccurring one. But if we can get it first, cleavers is going to be really good for that. But when that comes out next spring, get out and get it. It's free. And it's one of the best lymphatics as well that we can have, but we have calendula.
The leaves are the little balls. The leaves are the little balls.
The leaves, when it's fresh, when it's nice and juicy and green,
Yeah.
and when it goes to the ball, it's gone to seed, and that's kind of gone past its sell by date. You'll still get a few bits that are okay. You can judge by it, but sorry, just admit someone there. You can still get a few bits, but yeah, it gets a bit like, yeah, scraggly looking, and it looks.
Yeah.
So yeah, we want to
I was
fresh.
putting a handful in, say, what I do is I pick a handful when I'm out walking the dog, bring them home, put them in a carafe of water, and then I just drink that water during the day.
Yeah.
And it's lovely. It's really fresh, and it's a lovely flavor. Really,
Yeah, that's how I do it. I
Ah.
normally pick them in
Yeah.
the evening, throw it in the jug. I like my water really cold. My mom drinks it as well, but she likes her water room temperature. So I put my jug in the fridge overnight. She puts her jug on the counter, and like that, we just drink from it the next day. Like, you know, I have her and my dad drink it during the springtime as well. So yeah, super easy. What I love about it as well, it's one of the easiest herbs to carry home because it sticks to you like that. If you're out
Yeah.
walking the dog or something, you
Yeah,
literally
yeah.
just stick it to your top, and you have hands free, so you don't need
Really
bath.
good for juicing too.
Yes, yeah, I've tried that.
Excellent
Eat a
herb for
lot.
juicing because it's full of moisture. It's really
Yeah,
good.
really good.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's only because of the short period that it's out for. Well, it's long enough, but short now. We can just substitute calendula, and like I said, calendula shines better, not better, but more so on long term. Like, and mostly when, excuse me, clients are coming to see me, they're at that stage where they've had a reoccurring issue, and so if they're coming with lymph issue, it's normally reoccurring. We can use the calendula oil and the balm for chemo or radiation burns. Really good for that, really helpful, especially because it's going to clear out the lymph. My own sister had breast cancer and had radiation, and we had she brought down her calendula balm for straight away after it, and it's just going to drain out and eases the burn on the skin. So really good for that. What else was I going to say? Oh, I've used it with shingles. Now with shingles, we're going straight in for lemon balm. We don't need to look any further, but we could also, I have used it once, or not once, a couple of times with shingles, mainly because I didn't have enough lemon balm oil. So I mixed a blend of lemon balm, calendula, and St. John's wort, and it actually worked super well. The St. John's wort was because of the nerve pain that I don't know if anyone's ever had shingles. I have had shingles when I was 20. It's horrific. And I hope to never get them again in my life, but hopefully, touch wood, they can be reoccurring. And so really, really painful. So I can understand, and it's more common obviously in older, as we get older and stuff like that. So I can understand how people are completely thrown by it. It's horrific pain. Even thinking about it now, I'm like, but so, and my grandmother at the time, I was brought straight out lemon balm was rubbed on me from head to toe, and I was brought to the local healer here, and the seventh son of a seventh son, and it did go away, but it was not nice for the pain of it. But yeah, so, and it seems to be reoccurring a lot lately. I've had about 5 or 6 cases this year alone, which is really unusual and unheard of. As long as I'm running a clinic anyhow. And so yeah, so lemon balm oil is what we want, but I did mix calendula in again for the itch. It really helped cut down that itch. The lemon balm was like a nervine, and it helps, it's antiviral. So the lemon balm is beating the virus of the shingles. The calendula was helping that itch and that healing, so there would be no scar, because sometimes they can itch, and like chickenpox, leave a scar kind of thing. And the St. John's wort we used because of the nerve pain. We used St. John's wort for any nerve pain, and because it was topical, we didn't have to worry about it interacting internally with any medication or that. St. John's wort is one we have to watch if we're taking internally, if people are on certain medications, but topically we're pretty much okay to use it. So yeah, so that's
But
what
you use calendula for chickenpox actually.
Yeah, absolutely. I would use lemon balm as well, lemon balm oil, like because it's all the same family, the chickenpox, your cold sore, your chickenpox, your shingles,
Yeah.
they're all just the same
Okay.
family, so you can use them. But yeah, absolutely. Calendula is a great one for taking the itch out. That and chamomile are really good at taking the itch out, because I suppose we would have all known of the chamomile What was it?
Lotion.
Lotion, yeah. I couldn't think of it.
Chamomile lotion,
I
yeah.
can still
Just going around
smell
with
it.
all the white spots on
I
it,
can-
like
Yeah, I can still smell it too.
yeah. There was that, or in my granny's house, there was it was either iodine or like a herbal remedy. So
Yeah, purple knees.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, so you can use chamomile as well. So yeah, so and like Pauline, you've been getting the boxes for a while now, so you'd have like a great combination of like yarrow, chamomile. Well, you'll have chamomile next week. Yarrow, chamomile, like calendula, your lemon balm. Like if you were to take a little bit of dried of each of them and make them into like
Yeah.
beautiful combination oil, it would be fabulous. I tend to make all my oils separately, but that's only because I'm obviously making them for the boxes or blending them myself. But at home, if you're playing around with them, you can totally like a little bit of each into the one bowl and make one oil. And what I
Yeah.
would recommend is that you write down how much you put in, only because you'll make it will be amazing, and then you'll go, I can't remember what I put in, which I do
which I've
a
done.
lot of the time. So
I've one
everything.
left in the house that hasn't had chicken pox, so I'm waiting, and she's only 6, so it's
No.
it's coming.
It's
So-
coming.
Great experimenting on them though, isn't it? You
Yeah,
don't-
yeah, it is. Well, then get some lemon balm and on the go, and some calendula. And look, if you get off the call and she has chicken pox all of a sudden, another way to do it would be make a calendula tea and a lemon balm tea in a pot, like we do our normal tea. Let it cool
Yeah.
down, and then dab that on them if you're in a bind, like
Oh,
you know what I mean.
Okay, that's a
It's
good idea.
super-
Yeah.
you know what I mean. You don't have to be waiting for oils and tinctures. You can certainly make.
Or you can dip a
that way.
cloth in it and
Yeah, and dab
soak
it on.
and then put the cloth on.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's
That's
kind
what
of
I mean.
nice.
Yeah. Or into the bath, make a big strong cup of it of tea
Mm.
and add it into bath water with calendula. I wouldn't recommend using them and I don't know if I've said this already, I may have said it in my class already, but using them in the bath loose, only because you have to clean it up afterwards, and that was
Yeah.
messy. I have
Messy.
done that. We
Yeah,
don't
me
want to do
too.
that. Yeah. So I tend to make a big pot of tea like this and add that into the bath.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then if you wanted to, you could put them in a little bag and float it around. But just if you're caught short like that and all of a sudden you wake up and they've chicken pox, you can make teas, and use them that way. Let me see what else I have here. Produces more flowers after it's been picked. We talked about that. Oh, a salad dressing. Yeah, you can eat these herbs. Obviously, they're edible as well because we're ingesting them. So sometimes a nice way, like I said, to incorporate them into people. Especially I know when I was already in herbs, obviously in gin when I first met my husband, and he wasn't into herbs. He didn't know one plant from another. So when we first started dating and I'd be cooking him dinners, I'd be throwing in bits of nettles, bits of whatever. So he doesn't know what he's eating. He always laughs at it, and I haven't killed him yet. So, but one of the ways I used to get herbs into him without him even noticing was with salad oils. So I would put like calendula in like an olive oil, let it seep in, and then I would do a vinegar of maybe dandelion root, and then I would mix them together with some like fresh thyme or rosemary or whatever. Make your own salad dressing, but it's just an easy way to kind of incorporate it into food. And calendula can be added into little fairy cakes if you have kids at home and you want to, like the daisies are a great one to get kids occupied for the day. Send them out picking at them when they come in, make little fairy cakes with them and throw the daisies in, and they're fully edible and great for your coughs and any chest stuff. Daisies are great at. So try and incorporate into that. They originally used to use calendula as a cheap sort of dye for cheeses and in place of saffron. When places couldn't afford saffron, they would use calendula and use it as dye. It makes a great. I have another friend who actually makes dyes clothes from plant material, and calendula makes a beautiful color. It's something that I would love to do, but just haven't the time to do it. So I'm quite happy just to learn from her experiences. And yeah, so if you have an abundance of calendula, that's another way you can use them. The plants are always been inclusive, I think. When I think of plants, I always think there's no really apart from. It's always a part of, you know what I mean? We're never apart from the plants. We're always a part of them and a part of their journey and a part of using them. And rather than they're over there, they kind of want to be in every part. And calendula is one of those plants that can do that with everyone. Great for, like I said, for the lymphatic system, also great for women with sore breasts during pregnancy or lactation, because your breast gland, it's all your glands, it's all lymphatic, especially if you're breastfeeding, but even if you're not, hormonally around your bleed, you know, we can get tender breasts tissue, and that's all lymphatic, and that needs to be drained. So calendula does super well there. And so again, if you have someone yourself, or if you suffer from breast soreness, it's a really nice one to use around any time. But if you have someone who's pregnant, like I said, a really nice way to get them to use herbs, and it's a safe herb, is calendula, making them the balm for the baby and a bit of oil for them, maybe for their breast tissue, and maybe, you know, it's going to help with just easing that pain.
So you'd recommend probably, so you'd recommend, would you recommend the tea, the infusion as well, and as well as putting an oil on the breast?
Yeah, so it
That's
depends on, yeah, I would absolutely. I'd add the tea, and then depending where they are in their pregnancy, I would
If they're breastfeeding, that's where I come across.
that's what I was going to say.
I'm
If
a
they're breastfeeding,
breastfeeding
I'm adding a tea, and I'm adding like the likes of fennel in, and ones that are going to really help with the fennel is a great one for a tea for a nursing mother, because it helps with colic, and it helps with
Helps
indigestion.
the milk as well, doesn't it? Increases the milk.
Exactly. So you're having a win-win there. The mother's been helped and the baby's been helped by just drinking tea. So you could add in your calendula there, which will also help with the flow of the breast milk. Hormonally. Another way I have used it is with worms. Let's talk about worms. So I suppose in I studied a little bit of TMC, which is traditional Chinese medicine, but not a lot, but I kind of touch off it, and they all intermingle anyhow. But I do like the way they describe some things. And so they've kind of described four kind of top worms into different ways. And so they have round worms, which comes, they reckon, in abdominal pain and a foul taste in the mouth and a pale complexion. I've never treated anyone with round worms. They have tapeworms, which is, as we know, a normal constant hunger. I have treated people with tapeworms, but used a bit of calendula, but it wasn't the main part of it. But it was more like, that's how you know you have a tapeworm. It's like you'd eat everything, and not just I want bar chocolate, like absolutely everything. Then there's hookworms, which is the desire to eat strange objects, wax.
How do you spell that?
Hookworms.
Hook.
Hook, yeah, HOOK. So like weird objects. So again, like kind of nearly like your that whole folk of the pregnancy where you're eating dirt or coal or whatever. If you have that strange thing that you've never had before and you're not pregnant, in TMC they would say you have hookworms. What I have treated with calendula is pinworms. So pinworms is super common in kids, and the reason being, the pinworm will go into your upper large intestine, and that's where they like to hang out. But then at nighttime, and I don't know, I still have to figure out, I must do some more reading, but I do know, and I think it's because your temperature of your body drops and you're still more, you know, you're not as moving around. But the female comes out of your intestine and comes all the way out of your anus and lays her eggs. How nice of her. Thank you very much. And so what happens then is you get a really itchy anus. And so this is why kids, you know, you'd see them kind of getting in there and scratching. And so if you have kids and that's happening, like, you know, you probably won't see the eggs and stuff, but just kind of check with them that this is like, you know, is it really itchy on that spot? Like it's an intense itch, like. But what normally happens is, as kids are kids, and it's normally at nighttime when they're asleep, they're scratching away with their bare hand, and then they're waking up, or either that late or that night, the mouth, it's gone up and the eggs have gone under the nails, they're swallowing it back down, and it's just restarting the cycle again. It doesn't do, like, it won't make them sick, but what it does is it makes it harder for them to kill off. And they're so easily, you know, kids are so tactile with other kids and stuff, and that's how they spread them super quickly. So
and what are you using for that then? The calendula balm?
Using calendula balm basically around the anus to stop the itching and to heal, so they don't rip any of the skin, or if there is any tears, because especially, you know, if they're going hell for leather, ripping at it, or adults, but it's mainly in kids. No adult has yet approached me with pinworms. Maybe they have them, they just haven't told me, but it's been mainly mothers crying because they're over the phone, give me something for these goddamn kids. And yeah, calendula balm, and then I'm getting them to take a calendula tincture. Now I'm also that calendula tincture on its own isn't going to kill them off. It's not strong enough, but it is
Yeah.
part of the formula. But I'm also adding in a couple of herbs, and they're sweet Annie, excuse me, mugwort, black walnut, and I have garlic. Now I don't tend to use the garlic with the kids unless they're really bad and the mother is shoving it down their mouth, whether they like it or not. Because we want to kind of get kids taken, and a good way to get kids to take a tincture is, well, I make an elderberry glycerite, because glycerite is sweet. And even though it has no purpose in this thing, I will add it in if it's a kid's bottle, because they'll taste the elderberry and they'll be fine with it. But yeah, it's just another way that I've used it, because I was going through my book there before the call and I was like, oh, what way have I used this? And that way I can talk about it a bit more with a bit more experience. So with pinworms, yeah, so if you have kids going to bed and all of a sudden they're really scratching or something, maybe treat them with a little bit of calendula, or give it a check, or make sure it's not just a once off. Yeah, and again, try get them to wash their hands. But good luck with that one. So yeah, what else did I want to say? The resin all over the plant, we talked about that. Yeah, the petals are mucilagenic, so they're really moistening, which is why, again, when I said earlier, they go in around the cell matrix and kind of plump it up, which is what we were talking about for wrinkles. That's how that works, because the petals are really
Mucilaginous.
Thank you, Lucy.
I love that word. It took me ages to learn it. And
Yeah,
one
it's
of my
like
favorite words.
I can say it if I think
I've
about it.
got
but
it
in
now.
Conversation, I'm like, oh, and it just, yeah. You could be my word woman.
Yeah. It took me a long time to get it, but I think I dreamt all about it one night. I just kept dreaming about it, and then suddenly, yeah, got it.
That's it. Yeah, so it's really good, and so that's why it's good for the mucous membrane around your skin. So that's why when we use it as a wound healer, it's kind of healing, again, like we were talking about, pulling out any of the infection and stuff like that. And also, if you suffer from cold digestion, so if your food takes a while to digest, or you've been, maybe you've been to see a nutritionist and they said you have cold digestion, so just food is harder to break down, and you might notice that by constipation or diarrhea, one or the other, that can fluctuate. And calendula can be a really soothing one. It's warming, actually, considering it's a bit of I don't know if any of you've tasted calendula on its own. It's not that
Not that nice.
yeah, there's not much. I find it kind of just
It's a little bitter, isn't it?
yeah, but it's actually classed as a warming herb, and what they mean by that is, for stuff like that, for a cold stomach, it's warming. And they would have used it in soups, like I said, years ago, as a warming thing, again, to help with digestion. So yeah, just another one to have. And again, if it's something like that, a digestion, and someone will take a tea, I tend to push them towards drinking teas, because then it's going to moisturize inside as well, and it's going to help the digestive system. So yeah, so all good. Let me check my let me see what else I have here. Nothing really. Top of salad dressing. Produces resin. Talked about that. I think I've covered most of my notes. Just wanted to say something else about last month's box, and I can't remember. I think it was about the essence, but it's gone out of my head now, and I'll remember in a while. And you have the seeds. Oh, and I found some yarrow outside my front door tonight, so it's still in bloom. So you can still get out and harvest your yarrow, even though that was last month's call. But anyway, I said when I saw it there, I'd pick it. Has anyone got any questions? Hit me. Yeah, unmute yourself, Petra, and shout out. You're on mute still. I don't think.
Here we go.
There we go.
Thanks for all your info. Really brilliant. Thanks very much.
No problem.
I have both calendula with a black heart and with not a black heart, or just two different types, I presume. But I was wondering whether you know which one has a stronger medicinal power.
The Calendula officialis, they're kind of all on the same family, so I wouldn't discount one over the other. I mean, they tend to hybrid anyhow, when they're grown beside each other. like the community garden I volunteer in now would work from and pick my calendula from, like that has the both, and I tend to just pick both. Once they
Oh,
have
yeah,
that
fair enough.
resin, check the resin on the back, and what all it might mean is the black
Oh, yeah.
one might have a little bit more resin than the other one, but they tend to all have resin, so that's a good way of kind of testing it. But yeah, I wouldn't discriminate. I'd use both.
Okay, thanks. Great.
Okay, no problem. Anyone else got any questions?
And for the salad dressing oils, would you use fresh flour for soaking your oils, or would you
Either
use
or,
ground?
whatever I
or.
have. Yeah, I tend to be, again, non-discriminate about what I have, and I'm a bit of a rule breaker when it comes to recipes and stuff and things like that. And like I want people to use herbs and use plants as they are, so I don't want people waiting until the next calendula blooms so they can go make a salad dressing. If all you have is dried, throw it in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because I guess if you're putting the fresh in, you're going to have more moisture in it, so the oil won't last as long.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's it. Yeah, it would
There
go
might be a
until
little bit of
you're only
mold
making.
or-
You should only ever make small amounts if you're making it for salad dressings and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyhow, you know,
As
don't
you
make a
use it
big tub
quickly.
of it. Like a 50 ml is fine. Like, you know, because you'd be mixing it up as well with the vinegar. And using dried for tincture is a little bit better as well, because again, like Lucy said, the moisture isn't there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's going to rehydrate a bit more and pull out the constituents a bit better for the tincture. But yeah, any other questions on calendula? No, we're all
No.
just a great class. But yeah, so Pauline, did you have any questions about?
I did, but it's not on calendula, and it's literally, I was just going through a couple of the last boxes. I was rehashing all of the info in my brain, and I noticed the rosemary balm and the elderberry balm that you had given us. What were they good for? I couldn't find my notes on that. What was the balms good for? So we did the elderberry one first.
The elderberry it's again, wound healing, skin regenerating. It's really good for any sort of scars and yeah, any sort of now you have me gone. And it wasn't in that was not in the book, was it? Did it?
No, it's not. Well, if it is, I need glasses. No, I don't think it is.
No, I don't think it is, because I think I started adding it in afterwards. I realized I wasn't adding in a bit the balms, because I wasn't actually going to make an elderberry balm.
Yeah.
I did an elder balm for.
Because that's a good skin rejuvenating then. Would you mix that with
Skin
a
rejuvenate,
calendula for
yeah.
your-
Yeah, and I would use it kind of as a around the thyroid glands as a sort of an immune boosting one. But I would definitely use it as a skin healer, like all the balms you can use as skin healer. Rosemary balm I would use, again, really good for skin, but where really helpful is for headaches and you know, any sort of circulation. So if you're feeling kind of like overwhelmed a little bit on the side of the temples, at the back of the neck is going to be really helpful. Or if you're having that slump, you know, that 3 p.m. slump at whatever time of the day, or you wake up and you're feeling like, I just didn't get a good night's sleep, the rosemary can be really nice just to add even on your chest. Again, colds, any sort of, now that we're coming into winter season, that sort of thing can be really helpful for your chest, like you'd use Vicks. You could use
okay.
yeah,
Good.
yeah. But
yeah, that was it. I do have a question on plantain, but you're doing plantain next week, aren't you?
The next one is chamomile, and then plantain is November. So we're up to, I can't believe it, I was just looking at all the books and we're like up to that way. But anyone who wants to sign up can sign up anytime they want to. Next month's box is chamomile, and so I'll just show you what we have. We have seeds. This will be sent out next week, so there's still plenty of time for it. We have a tea, and it's chamomile, peppermint, orange peel, lemon balm, and lemongrass. I love lemongrass.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
I love lemongrass too.
Yeah, so nice. We have our loose chamomile, and we have our chamomile to make a tincture. It's all ready to go. And we have our essence, our tincture pre-made. We have our balm, and this month we have a guest of oil. I made a little oil as well for everyone, so we have a little bonus of an oil and a balm to use. Just because they smell so great. The chamomile is just so nice. smells so lovely. So yeah, that's next month's box. So if anyone is interested, this isn't a hard sell, but it's out there and you can sign up for it anytime. And then if you sign up this month or this week or whenever for chamomile, what happens is you just cycle through the next 12 months. It's the same. January we'll be back to nettles, then we'll do dandelion and blah, blah. So anyway, any questions on that?
I just about missed the January one, the nettle one. So I was going to ask you, can I get that? But we can just
it
roll
just
on
continues
until
on
January.
till, and then it'll cut you off
Perfect.
after your 12 months. And people keep asking me to do another lot, but maybe the end of next year I might bring out a few. They're a lot of work because you have to do the booklet and packing the boxes and the whole lot. And so I'm nearly at my limit of them. I only going to do a certain amount a month, and I'm nearly at that. But yeah, so far they've been a great experience. And the idea, like I said, is just to get people using their local herbs and having a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of understanding. And, we don't have to go too far in depth. And I think the books are just I think the box itself, I don't know, maybe Paul are just a nice way of getting in touch with it without feeling overwhelmed. And you can go back to them again and again and again, and so by the end of it, you have your 12 months of tinctures, your balms, you have a whole apothecary ready to go. But
you do, and the little
Great
booklets,
service.
then you have your own little library.
Yeah, you have your
providing
little
a brilliant service. You really are. I mean, it's
Yeah.
fantastic, and it's like revision for me every week. I mean, I love this. It's fabulous.
And we'll have to get you to come on and do one of the calls, Lucy, and I can say
No, no chance.
But yeah, look, it's one of those things that I'm so passionate about plants and weeds, and like I said, there's no such thing as a weed that can't be loved, and they're free. I know the boxes are free, but they're free after that. Once you know about them, they're free, and so that's my main aim, is to get people using their local weeds.
Helps us lazy ones who keep saying, "Oh, I must do that," and then you think, "Oh, maybe I'll just get someone else's." And I still haven't ordered a box new, and I'm going to do it. I'm absolutely going to do it.
There's no panic.
Because I kept saying to myself, "No, come on, Lucy, you can do this yourself." And then I don't do it, and I think, why didn't I order the box?
Well, look, like I said, there's absolutely no pressure to do it.
No.
I opened these calls for everyone so we could all share our experiences, and knowledge is power. And once we have the knowledge, if I have it, I'm quite willing to share it, that's what the plants are there for. They spread like weeds. Let's spread the knowledge like weeds, and get it out there and get it going. So if you fancy it, sign up for the boxes. If not, I also had the opening for my online beginner or my in-person beginners herbal courses up as well. They're on the website, but I'll be putting this recording up on YouTube tomorrow, so I can either send out a link or you'll find it anyhow. If you can't find it, let me know, but it's up on my YouTube channel. I normally send it out in my monthly newsletter. So if you're signed up for that, I will hopefully get around to that next week and send it out. But they're all there. Last month's call is up there, this month's call, and we'll be putting them up as we go along. And in the meantime, if anyone has any questions that they maybe didn't want to ask, feel free to email me. It's yarrowlane.herbs@gmail.com, and I can answer it privately if you would prefer not to talk about your pinworms or your hookworms or your roundworms. We can do that in private. But so if there's no more questions, I kept you a little bit longer than I had intentionally planned. So thank you so much for hanging out with me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much
for wanting to come and learn a bit more about plants. And next month, like I said, it'll be chamomile. So I'll send out again. We'll see it up, and we'll do another live call about chamomile. And looking forward to that one. So
thank you so much.
Right.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Everyone have a lovely
Bye-bye.
night. Bye.
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 Bye bye.